Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Women's Football Chat, bigger and better than ever before. My name is Chris Gadsby. This is your weekly show looking at everything to do with the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League in a new home of Thursday night at 6 rather than Tuesday night at 6 as it was last season. The reason for that is that this time around, looking to make it much more of a preview to the weekend, so bringing it later into the week, and hopefully those extra couple of days will just allow for more of those fixtures to get inputted onto full time, which means that hopefully there won't be so many occasions of me going, oh, that result's not on there yet, so can't give you those details. It also means that midweek fixtures on Tuesday and Wednesday will have been played, which means the tables, when I look at them, are much more up to date ahead of the weekend. There will, of course, be some occasions when there's Thursday night fixtures, but those will be few and far between. Also, this season, I'm producing this as an audio podcast as well, to be on streaming services such as Spotify, Amazon, streaming services such as that, so that you can listen to this show on the move and don't have to just sit down and watch it for half an hour or so. Still got 4 or 5 weeks until the start of the new season, but got plenty planned for you between now and then, and there is still plenty to discuss in the off season. Lots of player signings, players going from one team to the other, and plenty of re-signings as well. So keep an eye on your local team and obviously the teams in your league as well, to just see if any of your players have been going elsewhere. And the fixtures are out. We'll have a look at those shortly. But first things first, we're going to look at the news, and news from my own source at the minute, by which I mean news from myself. You will know over the past 6 weeks, it concluded a couple of weeks ago, I ran a summer knockout tournament for all 72 teams in the FA Women's National League. Bit of fun, voting for your favourite side, whatever the reason is, against the team they have come up against. It looked all the way through up until the semi-finals as though Wolves were going to kind of walk this tournament. They had a lot of online support. They were winning their matches thoroughly until it got to the semi-final stage and they came up against Chesham United, who were behind for a long time in that one and really turned it around on the Sunday night. A couple of celebrities getting involved for Chesham United really helped tip them over the edge. They went through into the final to face Stourbridge, and they were able to continue that momentum forward, winning in the end by almost 1,000 votes over Stourbridge, which was fantastic to see for Chesham. So congratulations to Chesham United, the favourite team in the FA WNL, as voted for by you. So moving on from that, we have a new home for Wolves Women. We've just spoken about them there. New home for Wolves Women. They've moved to AFC Telford's new Bucks Head ground. Nice looking ground from the photographs, and they're hoping that slightly better facilities and pitch playing condition, as AFC Telford are a couple of leagues above in the men's game where the ground they were playing was at, might just give them that edge to kick on from obviously winning the league last year, but missing out in that playoff final. And hopefully, from a Wolves perspective, they might just go one step further and get into the Championship next season. So the fixtures are out. As I said, we'll look at those in a moment. The determining round of the FA Women's National League Cup and Plate competitions will be played on Sunday the 11th of September. So haven't got long since the start of the season until that determining round. Of course, the winners of that determining round go into the Cup. The losers of that determining round go into the Plate. And it all really depends on how your season starts. If you remember last season, Forest losing to Liverpool Feds in the determining round, ending up in the plate competition, but then going on and winning it, being almost the only third-tier side left by the time it got to the quarter-final stage. Believe beating AFC Wimbledon in the final in that one at Solihull Moors. So you do really have to hit the ground running in order to get into that cup competition. We await the draw of that because it hasn't been announced as of yet. But as soon as that is, we'll have it on this show. So, final bit of news from me is earlier on this week on my social media. If you're not already following me, it's at Chris_Gadsby. If you aren't already following me, then make sure you do, because I will be regularly posting questions and comments for you guys to react to talk about on this show. Now, this week I asked, with the fixtures out, who do you think is going to end the opening day on top of their respective FA-WNL tables? I also want to know what you think your team is going to achieve in the 22-23 campaign. You did leave me quite a few comments, so we'll go through those now. Firstly, from Nick, who is a Wolves fan. He says, Liverpool Feds away on opening day won't be an easy game. I think the opening 5 fixtures have been fair to us, certainly compared to Bridgewater. I'll have a look at those in a minute as well. Hope to see us in the top spot again, but it will depend on what us and other teams do. So Wolves have got Liverpool Feds away on the opening day of the season. Liverpool Feds, of course, promoted from Division 1 North last season. And in comparison to Bridgewater, now I'm only going to look at the opening day of the season in detail in this episode. But just for context, Bridgewater United in the Southern Premier Division, their first 5 games, Oxford United away, Watford away, Plymouth at home, Crawley away, and Ipswich Town away. Watford, of course, coming down from the Championship last season. And then Oxford, Ipswich and Crawley were 2nd, 3rd and 5th. So it doesn't get much more difficult in terms of travelling for Bridgewater United to start the season. However, does mean you get the difficult trips out the way early on. Perhaps that might work in their favour a long way down the road. We will see. So let's move on then to Mark Lancaster, who says, now Billericay are in Tier 3. We just need to consolidate this season and remain at this level. Promotion from Tier 4 will be harder this year, especially in the South East League. So Billericay Town currently, due to the nature of starting with BI, atop of the Southern Premier Division, not that it means a great deal at the moment. And the aim, of course, is to get into the top 10, avoid those bottom 2 positions from the 12-team league. As Mark says, South East, it will be harder this season to get out of Division 1 South East. You look at how tight it was last season. You've got teams such as Hounslow have come down from the Southern Premier Division. We've had some lateral movement as well. But you look at Division 1 South East last season, obviously hashtag pushed Billericay Town all the way. They'll be going for it again next season. Wimbledon was strong, but then it kind of fell away a bit. But with some of these teams that have come in, you never really know what the league is going to be like. It looks like it could be a very competitive league again next season. Going to Tom, who is also a Wolves fan. We have Liverpool Feds on the opening day. Could be a tricky game, but he thinks the fixtures have been kind to them. He also thinks Wolves will go on to win the league again this season. It's a special group, and I'm sure we will add to it before the season starts. The Northern Premier Division looks like it could have gone many ways for a lot of the season, particularly if Wolves slipped up in a couple of games. But when you only lose 1 game all season, and then obviously unfortunately lost in that game to Southampton in the playoff final. But Derby were hot on their tails for a lot. Fylde and Burnley were in the mix as well. Forest were in the mix but fell away towards the end. And even Huddersfield Town on 43 points. There was only 4 points separating 3rd from 6th, 7 points separating 3rd from 7th. So the Northern Premier Division is going to be a tough one again this season. But Wolves obviously are in the driving seat and they've kept a lot of those same players. So they would go into the season as one of the favourites for the title. But of course, with the amateur nation of the FAWNL, it's not always as easy as they've signed this player, therefore they're going to do well, because a lot of the time the teams are holding open trials. Players might come of age, people getting into the sport are just naturally good at it. You never really know 1 year to the next. You've got a bit of an idea, but you never really know 1 year to the next exactly what's going to happen in the FAWNL, which is only the same as in the men's game. But because obviously there are far more records and how players are going to gel, you get more of an idea. Adam Reaper, who is a Leafield Athletic supporter, says he just can't wait to be in and around the team more. Had a taste of it at the end of last season. Truly wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Such a fantastic bunch of people and players. Leafield Athletic, of course, in Division 4. In Division 1, the 4th tier in Division 1 Midlands, just about stayed in the division last season when you look at the league table. Then when you look at it in more detail and find that yes, they were the spot that just avoided relegation, but they were 11 points clear of the relegation zone. Wem Town, of course, kept in the league to make it 12 teams, as we discussed at the end of last season. Leafield Athletic will be wanting to push on, but they did only finish 7 points behind Leek Town in 5th place. So there is plenty of opportunity there for Leafield Athletic to kick on and go a bit further next season. And then finally, for the listener ambitions, we go to Jess, who is a Southampton women supporter. She says, Division 1 Southwest champions, why not? And I mean, to be fair, you look at Division 1 Southwest, in my view, probably the most competitive across the league. Yes, you had the likes of Billericay against Hashtag in South East, but that became very much a two-horse race. You look at Southwest, I mean, even with a couple of weeks to go, any one of 4 teams could still technically win it. Cheltenham, of course, going up. Then you've got Bournemouth, Exeter and Southampton just separated by 3 points after the 18 games. So it really is a competitive league. Of course, with Cheltenham not being in that league this season coming up, it could well be that league becomes even more competitive. Cardiff City dropping down, Keynsham Town dropping down and Chelsea dropping down. So 3 teams coming down into that division. You mix those in with the sides that are looking to kick on from last year, and you could have kind of a 6-team fight for the title. So that's going to be a really interesting one to keep an eye on over the course of the season. So those were your listener ambitions this week. As I say, keep an eye on my social media at Chris_Gadsby for more questions, comments, things that I'm looking for your input on, and get involved, and we'll put them on the show. But now it's time to look at these opening day fixtures on the 18th of September. As I said, they're still a few weeks away, so we'll come back to these the week of the opening day of the season, which will be the 15th of the. The show is on the 18th. The games are on the 21st of August. Let's start then in the Northern Premier Division. Boldmere St Michael's taking on Huddersfield Town, Derby County against Burnley, AFC Fylde against Brighouse Town, Liverpool Feds against Wolverhampton Wanderers, Loughborough Lightning against Stoke City, and West Bromwich Albion against Nottingham Forest. So those are the opening day fixtures in the north. So newly promoted Boldmere St Michael's face Huddersfield Town at home. And Liverpool Feds host Wolverhampton Wanderers. Probably doesn't get much more difficult as an opening day fixture for Liverpool Feds. But we know from their performances last season, as I said, they beat Forest in the determining round of the Cup and Plate, and they went deep into the Cup competition as well. So they're more than capable of holding their own. So Wolves will have to watch out for them on the opening day of the season. Into the Southern Premier Division, Billericay Town start their campaign at home to London Bees, and Cheltenham Town start their campaign at home to Plymouth Argyle. Crawley Wasps against MK Dons, Ipswich Town against Portsmouth, Oxford United against Bridgewater United, and Watford coming down from the Championship at home to Gillingham. Division 1 Midlands then, and Leaford Athletic take on Leek Town. There's two sides I've been mentioning already in this episode. Lincoln City against Doncaster Rovers. Northampton Town starts their FA Women's National League journey at home to Wem Town. Sheffield host Stourbridge, who are also starting their journey. Solihull Moors against Long Eaton United, and Sporting Cowser against Peterborough United. In Division 1 North, Bradford City take on newly relegated Middlesbrough. Chorley face Barnsley. Leeds United take on Hull City. Merseyrail, fresh into the league, host Newcastle United, who have got to make that long trip down from the north. Norton Stockton Ancients will host York City, who also just come into the league. And Stockport County against Durham Sestra rounds off Division 1 North. Division 1 South East, AFC Wimbledon against #United. That's a great fixture to open the campaign for both of those sides. They were both up near the top last season. Actonians against Chesham United. Chesham United, of course, as we suspected would happen last season, and in fact it did happen last season, is that they have made that lateral switch from the southwest to the southeast, because of the sides that came down from the Southern Premier Division all being further west. Well, three of them were further west than Chesham. Chesham moved laterally into South East, means they've got far fewer long trips. It does make sense for them to be in South East. So they've got, well, an entirely new set of sides and grounds to go to this season. Cambridge City face Queen's Park Rangers, and Cambridge United take on Norwich City. Both the Cambridge sides at home to start their campaign. Hounslow, newly relegated, face Ashford Town, who are newly promoted. So neither of those sides, they're both starting their Tier 4 campaign with a game against each other. And Wyndham Town, the other side, promoted from Tier 5 for this season, take on London Seaward. Division 1 Southwest, AFC Bournemouth against AFC St Austell. The two AFCs coming up against each other. AFC St Austell, of course, based down in Cornwall. They're going to have long trips this season. It's great for them to be in the FA Women's National League for the first time. Cardiff City against Portishead. Cardiff City, of course, coming down from Tier 3. They went for a rebrand over summer. We touched on that a few weeks ago. Exeter City against Keynsham Town, another side relegated from Tier 3. Larkham Athletic take on Southampton Women. Maidenhead United take on Moneyfields, the other promoted side from Tier 5. And then Selsey face Swindon Town. Selsey, of course, formerly Chichester and Selsey, have now merged completely with Selsey to just become Selsey. They face Swindon Town. And those are all the fixtures coming up on the opening day of the season. So again, we'll touch on those on that Thursday that comes prior to the 21st of September, when the season will kick off good and proper. Still going to be shows between now and then. I'm away for a couple of the Thursdays, but I have been planning ahead, and I've got so far 3 interviews ready for you for those subsequent weeks, the first of which I'm recording in a couple of hours, so you'll have plenty to keep you entertained in the run-up to the start of the new season. And then, of course, we'll hit it hard come the 21st of August. That will do it then for this week's Women's Football Chat, the first week of Season 2. We've got a new backdrop. We're on audio now as well. We're going to be bigger and better than ever before this season, bringing you all the very latest news, results and fixtures from the 3rd and 4th tiers of football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Chris_Gadsby to keep up to date with things such as me wanting your input in each week's show, interviews, and so you can know when each show drops, which will be 6 p.m. on a Thursday here on YouTube if you're watching the video version, but also audio versions as well on streaming platforms. Thank you very much for watching. Keep supporting your local women's football team, and goodbye.